there's an oak tree somewhere around here. And I've hunted around to see what species of trees there are on our plot, and there's nothing but alder. It's sparse, there's nothing here. And then I go and find an acorn. I've buried him there. But it was just sitting there when I was down here playing with Casper. And that means there must be an oak tree somewhere around here, which means I can go and get more acorns, plant more oak trees, because, well, who doesn't like oak trees, right? Better than an alder everywhere. We have to keep going for walks to get all of our tree seeds, which is nice, but you can only get so many before people start looking at you strangely with your plastic bags under the trees. Managed to gather a fair amount, but it'd be nicer if we could, you know, gather them from here. They're certainly not within our land, and I don't expect they're up that way because that's forestry. So I suspect they're in that sort of bridge of trees between us and the road. So I'm gonna have to go on a bit of a hunt, see if I can't find that. There's some other species in there too, but I mean, acorns are fun, aren't they? They just look like a fun seed. Whoa. Bridge of Death earning its name. So we've been thinking about power. Well, I'm always thinking about power here because it's the thing that we have the least of. And kind of been skipping this bit by a bit, but to me that looks perfect for a water wheel, doesn't it? It's already got a whole stream flowing under the road's over there. It's already got a height. I reckon if I just extend that out a little bit and put a water wheel over so it's an overshoot wheel, this is about as low as it gets as well, so there's a lot of water that flows through there. So I wonder if there might be some power there. I think the trick might be having lots of little power sources which we can tap into the different areas where we need it, because if I do have some greenhouse polytunnel type things down here, I'm really keen on hydroponics. I want to do some hydroponic growing. But the thing with that is you need a lot of power for the lights, because the lights, I've got one light for my experimental hydroponic tent, and that thing pulls 400 watts. Because the idea is that you use the lights to give it, you know, as much light as it would have in the summer, so that you can grow all year round. Instead of only in the summer, and also you can keep the temperature a bit better, and you just control the nutrients. And not planning on doing that for everything, but for some critical crops or some that we really want quite a lot of, or that we couldn't grow here, hydroponics feels really attractive to me. It's also a bit techy. I think I like those kind of solutions more than burying potatoes in a bucket. Not saying that's not going to be fun too, but because of that, I'm feeling like we might need power in different places. Speaking of which, I'll show you what arrived yesterday. But we're going to be getting on with micro hydro very, very soon. All of the bits are in the post to us, some from the States, so they'll be a little while arriving. But yesterday, our armoured cable arrived. We've got 130 metres there, plus the cleats on top for connecting it. And we're going to run it from the barn here to the turbine site, which is going to be in that, like, over the other side of the river. And the armoured cable is really expensive. So, I mean, I managed to source, I was having some trouble with getting the water pipe cheap enough, but I managed to source some water pipe for a really good price. And the armoured cable was as much. So the reason I'm looking at that site over on the other side of our garden bit, for talking about water wheels, is because if I had to run the power from here to there, the armoured cable is going to be as much as a whole setup would be. So I might end up having micro, you know, like a couple of batteries down in the greenhouses, a little water wheel, kind of like where I need the power, I might have to generate it in that location. So I'm keeping my eye out for suitable places for a variety of renewables. But yeah, I think that's almost ready made, so it seems pretty easy to do. Today we've got loads and loads of little jobs to do, loads of little jobs. Mainly because the concrete that we did in the last video just isn't drying, which from one perspective is amazing because it won't crack because it's drying so slowly. You know, when you see people pour concrete and they have that plastic sheet over the top, that's to stop the surface drying, so that it's the same as wood. You don't want things to dry faster on the outside than the inside. So with concrete and wood, if you have the outside dry too quickly, that's why the cracks appear. The major cracks can appear anyway, but there's sort of lots of spider cracks and some major cracks can appear if you dry out too quick. So it's really good in a way because it's not cracking, but it's been a week since I poured this. It's dry enough to walk on, like it's dry enough, and you can see these patches here are more dry, but it still feels. It feels like if you put a foot wrong or you drop a piece of timber on it, it's going to dent or chip, and that's not really what I want to happen given I spent that much time troweling it. So, also, we got invited to go on a podcast, and we did that yesterday with Ben. I probably won't be able to put the link in this video because I don't think it'll be out in time for this video, so I'll put the link in the next video. But we did that yesterday. I had a nice chat about off-grid stuff and what we're doing here. So I'll link that when it comes up, but because of that we've had a bit of a disjointed week, waiting for the concrete to dry and other bits and bobs. So yeah, little jobs feels like a good thing to do. I'll tell you what we've got to do. Whether we get to that all, I don't know. But we have to fix the heater. The diesel heater in the Caravan's busted. The fan problems come back. Don't buy that diesel heater. It's terrible. I'm going to try and fix that for the 5th, 6th time, permanently this time. So that's one job. I chased all the sheep out again. We had like 20 of them. 22 if you count those two, but they're all right because they don't come into the garden and taunt me from the bedroom window. But I found another gap which they decided to come back through, so we've got to go up there and hammer some posts in, make sure they can't come through that bit. We're slowly working around I keep plugging a sheep hole, and then as I'm walking around I'm like, oh god, they're just coming in that bit, so I have to plug that hole. I think I'm slowly getting to a sealed border. We've got to add a bit of plastic membrane to the top of this bit here. We'll go upstairs and have a look up in there because it's kind of a cool space. But what's happening is, well, A, it's raining on the inside of the barn because the metal roofing is getting condensation on it, and then that's dripping and just filling the place with rain. And what's happening is it's sort of raining in this bit here, which is getting everything wet. So I've got to try and add a membrane up there, and there's problems associated with that we'll have a look when we get up there, but the ladder's not there at the moment. We're going to cut the plastic off the side here, have a look at our radius. We're going to put some insulation in 2 sections here, and we're going to put some sheeting up because we need somewhere to mount my water pump, the water filter, the UV filter. All this stuff needs to go on either here or here somewhere. And then I need a wall to mount the power inverter, the power input for the micro hydro, batteries, like all of that stuff. So I need to have some kind of mount there. We're going a bit beyond the scope of what we're going to get done here, but I need to get the wall here, door frame in, door on here. I'll take you through here and show you some bits in here as well. I've just got so many little bits. All right, the generator started up, which means you're not going to be able to hear me, and I need that to run because we need power. So we'll go up the hill now, do that bit, and then we'll come back down and I'll show you what else we've got to do. Can you see that pile This is from just one postman. Some exciting bits in there. We'll open it later on. One of the other jobs we've got to do is we've got to change the oil filter and the oil on the quad bike because it's got to 20 hours on the usage and that's its first service, so we've got to do that soon. Let's put this in the back. Yeah. We're going to see if we can't get the quad bike a bit further up than we have the past couple of times. Right, so the flood gave us a couple of lengths of timber that I managed to go and get from down by the river, so that I can just hammer those in on the bottom of this fence. Didn't think I'd get well, I thought I would get the quad bike up here, but I haven't had it this far up the hill so far because it's really steep and there's lots of rocks under the ground and it wants to tip quite well all over the place. So it's only been today that I thought I'd venture up because it takes ages to walk all the way up here. But here's one of the buried structures that I was talking about, and I've found quite a few more since looking at it. And the reason I am fairly sure it's a buried structure is because there's a mound there, and then there's a gap, and then there's a mound here. But when you look at the rock structure here, it looks to me like a stone there, a stone there, a stone there, and a stone there. So after thinking about it, and my wife came and had a look at it as well, we think it's just probably a stone wall, because when you look down here, there's a trough there's no stream in it at the minute, and there's no sign of a stream in it, but there's a trough here, and there's a mound that seems to run all the way down. So we wonder if this bit here might actually just be a gate, an old sort of gate entryway. But I have found a circular stone building base over that way that we probably won't go and have a look at today. And it's not very big, I don't know, maybe 2 meters across, but it's got it's a clear circular with a doorway, so that looks cool. And the more I look, the more I realise that these piles of stones might be in a kind of network of old stone walls that might have run around here at some point. So that's going to be fun, uncovering where they might lay and if there's anything else more interesting. I'm going to have to get a map, well, you know, Google Maps, Google Earth, and just kind of map out where each thing I find is, and see if there's any patterns. I think there's one that runs through the garden as well, but they're all quite low, you know, they're not prominent mounds. You have to kind of look quite carefully to find the stone path, so they won't be really recent stone walls. Right, although I take the quad bike up here, we've still got some climbing to do. There's a standing stone over there as well, a little one though, so I'm saying standing stone. I'll show you, it's Diddy. But it's definitely buried. Standing upright, could be a tiny gravestone for a dog or something, don't know. But it's a little one, and it's not only just in the surface, that's quite stuck. But I'd be surprised if nature could leave a stone upright like that. Maybe it could do, don't know. Just more interesting things to explore. Right, well I found it, but it's not the problem I expected. I thought I saw the sheep coming through from the caravan down there, and I thought it was the fence missing from the bottom and they dived under. Looks like they've just come straight through there, so I hadn't quite brought the stuff up here to do this. But we'll make it work. I've got my Leatherman, so I've got a saw in my pocket, so I'm going to just take a notch out the top of these bits of wood, wedge them under, try and just push this fence up, and we'll see if we can't get it at least bodged for now. I'm calling that good enough. Like I should have brought some ties up with me, but like I said, I didn't expect to be adjusting the fence. I thought I'd be blocking a hole in the bottom, which is why I brought what I did. But because I chased 20 sheep out yesterday, and it took me half the day because I had to run up and down, kept getting funneled into the bits where I didn't have the gate to get them out, so I'm just trying to keep them back out. Seems like they like being in here, and as soon as they get out, they just want to come straight back in. So there we go, that's that. We'll head back down now. Try not to kill myself in the quad bike. And then we'll get on with the other bits and bobs. You wouldn't have seen it because I had the camera on the front of the quad bike, but as it was coming down the hill, there was suddenly this trench. I had to turn it on the steep bit of the hill, and that's supposed to be a pretty bad idea, but I was hanging off the side, like the quad bike's like this. I was holding on with my right hand, like where the camera is, onto the handlebar, and hanging off the side to stop it tipping sideways down the hill. Apparently if it's downhill like that, I did quite a bit of mountain biking, and I've had a go at off-road motorbiking, so I kind of know what to do with that. But quad bikes are a bit different because that you can't lean them. But apparently you're not supposed to brake if it's going to tip down a hill, because it'll tip it faster. You're supposed to put the throttle on, which is a bit scary if you're already at a really funky angle. But we managed to get it round, got back in one piece, didn't tip it over. So I think next we better have a look at that post, because I want to see what's inside. I kind of know what's inside some of it, but it's such a magnificent pile, isn't it? So I think we'll have a go at that next. Well, let's start with these two. I know what they are, and we don't need to open them because they are baby clothes for the new baby coming in February. So they're just going to be tiny little baby grows off eBay or Vinted or something, I don't know. Like Amy bought them. Wow, this is blunt. Okay. So these two here, I only need to open one of them, are lights for the barn because it's quite high ceiling, and I thought high bay lights might be a better option than regular lights, because I can hang them from the ceiling. They should, I wonder if there's a hanger with this. Maybe, yeah, we've got a hook. So you hang it from the hook, and then I'm hoping these are going to provide enough light for the workshop. The problem I've got is that I'm dealing with, you know, we've got very little power, and in order to get these big enough to provide enough light, you know, it's kind of proportional to the wattage. And if you need to light a large space in each one of these, the first ones I got were 150 watts, and I just thought, you know what, that's nearly, if I've got two of them, they're 300 watts continuous, which I think it's just too much. So I changed my mind and got the 100 watt versions, because that saves 100 watts overall, and I want to be able to be in there with the lights on and not feel like I have to turn them off because we can't afford the power. So that's my thinking with those two. Should we do it? This says fragile, and it's for my wife. So let's hope she hasn't bought me any Christmas presents she hasn't told me about. It's also tracked, so perhaps it's valuable. Ooh, look at that. Happy birthday, Amy, love, Laura and Ted. So these are birthday presents for my wife, very nicely wrapped. Well, yeah, they're nice paper, and there's a nice card, and there's a bag of something. You know what, it's because this is not for my birthday, I'm just going to tip this up and show you, because otherwise I don't want to start moving stuff. But there's like a bag in there, so that's nice, isn't it? Next, another for my wife. It's from Amazon, actually from Amazon this time, and probably going to be food, isn't it? Probably, oh, maybe not. This was fun. So we're doing my son's Christmas present shopping at the moment, and we got him some... The snakes look pretty cheap and terrible, actually. They're like, he's got a thing about snakes right now. And these are just wiggly snakes. And these are those like magnetic blocks that you get. So, let's get it out of the light. They're like squares and triangles, and we went to one of my friend's wedding, and there was a friend of his there who had a young child who had these to play with, and they snapped together. I think my sister-in-law's daughter's got them as well. They snap together anyway, so they're like little magnet shapes, building blocks. So that's one of his presents. We also got him a rocket, a spaceship, Duplo one. So that's his Christmas present. You know, this here all came from one postman. He was like, "Oh, there is loads," and I was like, "Yeah, okay." Yeah, it really is quite a lot. Engelbert Strauss catalogue, because they love me. Deodorant, little ones aren't always the best, are they? What are we going to go for next? While we're doing my wife's... Well, this has to be milk or something, doesn't it? Because that weighs a ton. The thing when we live in a place like this is that we drove yesterday. My wife had an appointment for the baby across the water, so we had to get a ferry. Ferry was 50 quid, and it was an hour and a half there and an hour and a half back for a short appointment that she didn't really need to go to. And there was a screw fix there, and I was like, I have to get something here, because if I mean, I did need stuff, but if you're like, you just can't. The closest screw fix here is an hour and a half drive each way, so 3 hours to get screw fix. So I just have to order it online. This is why all this stuff's in the post, because it's just, that's the only way you can get it here. This is Plenish oat milk, so I'm not sure you're that interested. I think it'd be sharper using a handsaw. What are these? Almond butter. This is for me. And I think most of what we have here is going to be the screw fix order, which is quite a big one, because I'm trying to get the power sorted, as I keep saying. Oh, I've got no end of cardboard. So this one is 2 reels of cable. We've got one for the sockets, and we've got one for the lights. So I've got something to be working with there. So that's that box. Yes. Okay, so these are for the hydro intake. I've got a cool plan of how I'm going to do that, and I'll go through that in that video. This is, what is it? I think this feels like a Boss. Yeah, so this is a Boss for the toilet pipes that I'm going to adjust. So I don't have everything that I need, but we have some stuff. These are more of those amazing screws that I said. Sockets, some switches. What are these? Concrete screws. Some back boxes. Trying to find, this is the connector for the Caravan. Where is it? Maybe it's in one of these. Yeah, this guy. So Wi-Fi at the minute, our point's there, the satellite's up there, as you saw me do in the previous video. And Wi-Fi is really difficult. The signal drops off quite quickly. So you can get these plugs, which are Wi-Fi boosters, you can see there. So I'm going to put a couple of those throughout the workshop to try and just boost it without having to... You get the plugs, you know, the plug into the wall ones. We've got one of those in the Caravan, but I think it'd be nicer just not to have to think about it. And so these are the other lights. Lights are really expensive, and trying to light a workshop or a barn of this size, it's quite, you need a lot of lights. And I haven't had lights in my workshops ever before. I've always just run off like plug-in ones. I've never had wired in lights, so I'm planning one of these per section in that sort of extension bit that we've done, and then so far I've got 2 of those dangly ones for the big bit. But the thing is, these are the cheapest I could pretty much find, and they're 25 quid maybe. They're LEDs and they put out a decent amount of light. So, but you multiply that by 10, it's 250 quid. And these aren't like, oh, I've got 250 quid for really fancy lighting, like beautiful things that you love and cherish and you really enjoy switching the light on, because some lights can be pretty spectacular pieces of art. These are just workshop lights, and they're still, you're looking at about £1,000 to light the place. Still don't know. Okay, so we need to put a door. Oh, they're heavy. We need to put a door where the quad bike is, and these are some big gate hinges, because the hinges I love to use are those concealed ones, which they've got these finger bits like that, and when you open them, they both fit in. So normal hinges, for example, will sit on the surface, don't they? You can see the hinges kind of stick out. These ones fit inside the door, take a bit longer to fit, and you've got these fingers like this, and they kind of open up. They're just a lovely hinge. They're always smooth. They're nice and strong in this direction because of the way that the hinge sections fit together. But they're expensive too, and I'm just having to save money everywhere I can right now because we've got so much going on. So gate hinges, this is the consumer unit, so it's not that interesting. I'm going to open it because I want to have a look at it, but it's a fuse board for the workshop. So at the minute we're running off extension leads all over the place. Not really an ideal solution, but it's our solution, so that's what we're doing. But I want to, with the micro hydro that we're installing in the next couple of weeks, when it all arrives, I want to get everything up and running properly so that when we have some proper power, it goes to the proper places, and you know, I feel a bit better about safety of it all and just a proper job. So there we go, got a consumer unit, and then one final parcel, which is from Bimble Solar, which means there may well be sweeties in here. You know, Ironmongery Direct used to do sweeties. They'd send you a tiny packet of Haribo or some Love Hearts, which I'm not that keen on actually. I think they stopped doing it. Okay, so from there doesn't look like there's any sweeties in here. Ah, yes there is. Well done, Bimble Solar. Have we got another sticker? Oh, these look like, last time they were fruit sweeties. This time, we've got like Werther's Original things. It's 2 of them, and we've got another sticker. So I am very, very pleased with that. Thank you. I think his name's James. He's also super handy with advice, so that's some more MC4 connectors. Those are the sweeties. And then this is the switch for the micro hydro, because it puts out, or it can put out quite a lot of power. So this, I think this is a 50 amp switch. Did I get the 50 amp or 80 amp? In fact, this might be 75, but the maximum our hydro could put out is 50 amps. So we want a decent breaker. So the idea is it comes, no, this is for directly where the hydro is. So I'm going to put the turbine. Turbine's going to be wired to this, and then from here the armoured cable will run back to the barn. So I needed an isolator so that I don't blow myself up. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. I'm going to tidy all this mess up. Sent me 3 sweeties. 1 extra. I've got the heater out. This one's area 6, which means that the fan's getting stuck. And I've heard it gets stuck on a sort of, there's a control unit just behind it, so I had wiggled it free a couple of times. I'm gonna have to have a more permanent fix though, because it's done it 3 or 4 times now and I'm fed up fixing it. So yeah, gonna work on that now. It's a bummer though. Don't buy these at all. They suck. I'll show you the one to buy though, if you can find it. It's super dark in here, so you're gonna have to bear with me. This one here worked perfectly. Worked when I bought it, hasn't failed since. So that one, really good. It's got the slightly older controller on it as well, which means all the videos on the internet that tell you how to set it up work. Whereas this one here has a newer controller, which is far harder to set up, so I don't buy this one. It's the same brand though. This must just be, I think they've designed it kind of funny way, so yeah, I wouldn't recommend this one. And I'd say that because I've got 2. The other one's got error 3 on it, which is glow plug problems. So that one's never worked. This one's had problems with the fan. So they're both two different problems. So yeah, I can't recommend them. I meant to mention that if anybody wants any of the links to anything that we have on the channel, you know, any tools or any bits in the parcels, just put it in the comments, because I'd be typing forever in the description to fill out everything that we use, and people may not have any interest in a specific water butt connector tap. It'd probably just be easier if you just let me know. Just send a comment, just say, hi Rob, can you let me know where you got the adapter plate or where you got that light fitting or something, and I'll just reply with the links that way, because I think it's feels better, because you know, it's a person-to-person contact, isn't it? So if you want to know anywhere we get anything, just let me know, and we'll send you the links, you know, that way. I think it'll be a bit simpler for everybody. I think we've got there, at least with one of them. So I've taken this board off because the problem is that it says it's the fan problem, and when I turned it on, this didn't even attempt to spin, which meant, and it span freely with my hand, which meant that it wasn't stuck on anything. It sounded electrical. So I took this control unit off of the other one, which has the glow plug problems, and now it seems to spin and work, but I can't fully test it until I've got everything plugged back, like, you know, because it'll throw up another error now with the fuel, because there's no fuel in it. So I've got to put it back together and then plug it in properly and see if it works. But maybe, well, for now, seems like that works. But then I've done this kind of thing before, and it's yeah, you know, it's worked for the first few minutes and then not afterwards. But I don't know if you can hear it going. So we've at least got that fixed, which means that we're not going to freeze in the night. Next problem, I think, is that the foam I've put down here, I think it's getting damp under the Caravan. I didn't think the water was going to collect under there quite as it is, so I'm going to cut this side out. It's starting to smell a bit musty inside, and I don't think the gutter's leaking because we've redone that recently, so I suspect it's just not getting enough ventilation under there. So I'm going to take out this side just so it's got a bit of airflow. It's not completely sealed, but I think that might be a good move, so that's what we'll do next. Well, I think that large amount of soil that had been piling up under there probably had something to do with the musty smell in our bedroom. But yeah, that ventilation in this case I think is probably better than heat retention. So I thought that all of that was going to take us a lot less time, and I thought we were going to get a lot more done in this video of little bits to do. So perhaps we'll do another one tomorrow, because I reckon this is already pretty long. I think when I look back at the post, that little bit that I recorded was 18 minutes long. So I think we might have to do another one. So what we might, let me go over the rest of the stuff we've got to do. Got to cut that off so that we can see the radius that we've got in the concrete. That's that. We've spoken about the insulation of the boards there. What are we doing here? So what I've been working on in the barn, can you see I need those lights because it's just super dark, is up here. The wind was blowing all of the rain in through those slats, like that was it before. I didn't want to spend a lot of money on this because I'm going to redo all of this structure, but this is the new stuff that I've done. So that's staying, but all of this is buggered. So I'm just trying to get it temporarily sealed. So I've added those up there to stop the rain falling through, but what I want to happen is at the minute, it's just open for any heat to escape. So I want to build another wall across here. I'm going to make it out of Super 4, and I'm going to have another skin of this, and that'll go up to the ceiling. It's not as cheap as it should be given its floor protector, but it's cheaper than this sheet, and it's easier for me to carry it up here because I've got to lift it all up, and it's quite high, and I can't get to this side either. So I'm just going to make this wall out of that. This is also open up here, so I need to bridge that across to that side, so that the workshop is a bit better enclosed, so that, you know, heat and weather and stuff. It's going to be hard to heat this space anyway, and I'm not really going to heat it. It's just so that it's slightly, you know, a degree or two warmer than it is outside. We've got the doors that we need to add down there. The top, the damp-proof bit I mentioned is this rains. Like I said, it condenses and rains through there. I need to add a plastic sheet to the top of there so that at least when it rains, it doesn't rain into that. It'll still rain and run off, and I'm gonna have to have indoor gutters. Like, it's crazy. Keep solving one problem. Like, this place is now watertight, sort of. Now I've got it raining inside. So that's some of the projects that we might be getting on with tomorrow. Video's getting too long, so I think we might call it for today. Wow. Cloud that's forming like within the mountain. I love it when it does that. It feels like you're really in nature instead of just... I just love weather. I love the variety of weather. It's such a... reminds you you're actually here, you know, on planet Earth instead of in insert place name of town or city. So there we go. If you'd like to see more of me doing a lot of small and pointless jobs, not pointless, they have a point, but they're a bit irritating when you want to make big progress and you get tangled up doing these little bits, but the little bits still need to be done, don't they? So if you'd like to come and see that, come join us. Be nice to have you here, and we'll see you in the next one.